Hello learners, welcome to yet another session. I am Dr. Geetika S. Johry, faculty at School of Vocational Education and Training, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Learners, as you all know, we have been discussing the course on secretarial practice, and this course is also part of the program on Diploma in Modern Office Practice. So before we begin with today's session, let's have a look at what we've covered so far and what we will be covering. So we have covered the secretary, we have covered communication, which was in two parts, part 1 and part 2. We have completed office correspondence, we have done reception and public relations, we have completed meetings, which was again in two parts, part 1 and part 2. Report writing we covered in our last session, and today we will be taking up sources of information, which is again divided into two parts. Today we are going to do part 1 of the session on sources of information. And in the forthcoming sessions, again, we will be taking part 2 of sources of information and travel arrangements and handling cash and bank transactions. So before we go on to study this or discuss this particular unit on sources of information, let us have a brief idea about the role of the secretary, what all a secretary does. So as said, the secretary is the backbone of any organization. She or he is a person who is responsible to do the office work, whether it is of administrative nature, whether it is organizing official meetings and events, arranging the travel of his or her boss, or handling cash and bank transactions. So in order to be well versed in all these areas, the secretary needs to have a good understanding of the major sources of information which one may use while functioning in an office. Now, as it is rightly said, the right type of information is very important for any organization at the right time with the right person. So it is very important that one is aware about the various sources of information from where one can get and at the time of the need. Now, secretary also has to plan travel arrangements, which means to arrange services to make the journey from one place to another or one country to another. So it is very necessary for the secretary to become fully aware about the necessary preparation for the journey of their boss if he has to make frequent official visits by road or by rail or by air. Now, as far as this block is concerned, apart from the sources of information which we are going to discuss in two parts, this entire block will also deal with the role of the secretary, that is with all the activities which are related to the bank and cash operations. It will also discuss about the different kinds of bank accounts maintained by the individuals and procedures related to deposit and withdrawal of money from the bank. So let's begin with this unit which is on sources of information. No one knows all the information and answers to all the questions, but if a person knows the potential sources for finding the required information, she or he attracts success to him or her at all fronts. All facts cannot be memorized by anyone. So learners, one may need any kind of fact or any piece of information at any point of time, maybe for one's own personal use or purpose or for professional use. Success of any business depends on the personnel working for it. If the office personnel in a business knows where and how to collect the useful information and facts for the business, then we can say that he is making a very positive contribution in the smooth functioning of the business. So as a student of office management, you should know the value of knowing about the general and specific sources of information. So when we're talking about this unit, we should study the major sources of information which one may use to get the required information while functioning in an office. So let's understand what are the objectives of this particular unit on sources of information. So here learners, we will be understanding the office manuals and their usage. Whatever are the office manuals, we will try and understand their usage. We will also try and understand how media acts as a source of information. Also, we will discuss about internet as a source of information. We will also try and understand how government reports and notifications are an important source of information. Then we will also learn in this particular unit the right to information as a tool to get information from public authorities. Then we will also understand the necessity of the various sources of specific and general information. We'll also try and learn about the use of dictionary, thesaurus, encyclopedia for extracting information required by you. Then how we can use the railway, air and roadways timetable. This is also we are going to discuss in this particular unit. We will also understand the usage of tourist information guides and also the use of ready reckoners. So before we begin with this particular unit, we will be covering this entire topic, that is sources of information, in two parts. As I mentioned in the beginning, that this sources of information we will be covering in two parts. In part 1, that is in today's session, we will be covering human beings and reference material, which are the sources of information. And in part 2, which is going to be our next session, we will be taking up media, internet, government report and notifications as important source of information. Also, in our part 2 of the session, we will explain right to information as a tool to get information from public authorities. So let's begin with classification of sources of information. Now, learners, the basic sources of information can be majorly classified into 3 main categories through which one can update oneself and be successful in his or her profession. Now, what are those 3 main categories? The first category is human being, the second category is reference material, and the third category is media. Let's begin with human beings. The ancient way of knowledge transfer was through the word of mouth from one person to another. Now, in the modern age of information technology, humans are seldom referred to as the source of information. But if this important source of information is ignored, a vast reservoir of expertise may be lost. So we can see how important the human beings are as far as the source of information is concerned when they act as a source of information. Now, in fact, information that is useful and relevant in a given situation is termed as knowledge. Your friends, your peers or staff specialists many times have faced and solved a problem similar to the one which you might be facing at a particular point of time concerning where to find a specific rule or a type of data or business process. And many important solutions to the problems or links about using any particular information may get stored in the brains of the employees. Therefore, it is important to know how human beings can be judiciously utilized in finding any important information or solution to a particular problem. Now, organizations are using this important reservoir of expertise as a special branch of management called as management of knowledge. Now, Lew Platt, ex-CEO of Hewlett and Packard, made an important statement about knowledge management. What did he say? He said that if only HP knew what it knows, it would make 3 times more profit tomorrow. It indicates that human resources of an organization, when utilized, the complete knowledge they possess collectively may take the organization towards unexpected exponential growth. Now, apart from getting information from the members of one's own organization, useful information may be collected from experts even outside the organization, or a senior member shifted from the organization in the recent past, or one's guide or mentor. So there are many ways how we can collect the information. In the recent past, nowadays what is happening that firms, in order to save their joint interest, may form up a collaborative information pool, and in that case industrial information may be got from other firms in the industry as well. Now, another important aspect, learners, which we want to tell you of knowledge sharing among human beings is that knowledge and experience are the traits which make people valuable as individuals. Now, due to these traits, they enjoy the power. Humans get empowered because of their knowledge. In an organization, the individuals may have feeling that once knowledge is shared, they may lose their power. Due to the feeling of insecurity, people sometimes do not like to share their knowledge. Therefore, it is very important that information seeker tactfully seeks the information without hurting the pride and ego of the information provider. Though organizations are developing knowledge sharing culture, it is important for the employees to use this great tool of information and knowledge effectively and efficiently for achievement of organizational as well as their own professional goals. So learners, till now we have discussed with you human beings, how they are a source of information. Now the second category is the reference material. How does reference material act as a source of information? Now, a collection of books can provide information far more comprehensive than any one person can hope to have, but only when one gets the right one. So reference book, we can say it is a book which is designed to be consulted when reliable information is sought or verified, rather than reading cover to cover. Such tools are consulted only for definite items of information and usually are not read consecutively. Now the main purpose of reference book is mainly to supply the desired information. Now let us have a look at some of the characteristics of reference books. The first is they are intended primarily for occasional reading and not comprehensive reading. Second, the information included in reference books is collected from a vast number of sources. Third, they are consulted for definite items of information. Fourthly, the arrangement of information is such that it can be conveniently and quickly recorded. Fifth, they usually concentrate on facts. Sixth, they are not meant for issuing and are kept for use as reference in library only. Now we will try and understand the different type of reference books. Since we know what reference books are, so they are of different types, and we have just listed them over here. So the first kind of reference books would be including is the dictionary, thesaurus, encyclopedia. The second is the timetable, which will include your railway timetable, your air timetable, as well as your roadways timetable. Then the third kind of reference books will be the tourist information guides. Then we have ready reckoners, and then we have office manuals. So these are the different types of reference books which are available, from where we can get information, and of course then they become the source of information. We will be discussing each of them separately. So as I mentioned that today's learners, we are only going to discuss in detail about the three types of reference books. They are dictionary, thesaurus, encyclopedia. Then we are also going to take up timetable, which will include your railway, air and roadway. And thirdly, the tourist information guide. But when we are talking about the other two, the ready reckoners and the office manuals, we will be taking up in the next session, that is part 2 of the session, where we will also discuss media and the other government reports and other aspects as well. So now let us begin with the first kind of reference book. The first is dictionary, thesaurus and encyclopedia. What is a dictionary? Dictionary is a well-known reference book. The word dictionary is originated from the term dictio, which means word. Therefore, primarily it deals with words. A dictionary contains the words of a language or the terms of a subject, profession or vocation arranged according to a definite order, usually in alphabetical order. Now, it helps the users to know about the words or the terms in the following manner. How does it help? To find out the meaning of the words and terms, then to check the pronunciation and verify the spellings, the syllabification of words, to trace the origin, derivation and history of a particular word. Then it also helps us to indicate the correct usage of the word. It also helps us to determine the abbreviations, the antonyms, the synonyms and symbols, etc. of the particular word. Now, sometimes what happens, learners, that dictionaries also give some kind of pictorial illustrations, maps, historical and geographical information about the words and terms. An average educated person makes use of language dictionary for any one or all of the above functions in everyday life. Nowadays, most of the mobile phones have inbuilt installed software of dictionary, which is extremely convenient and handy to use. Now, there are different types of dictionaries, and we can primarily divide them into 3 major types. First is general dictionaries, the second is subject related dictionaries, which talk about different subjects, and the third is supplementary language book as word books, which deal with each aspect of words as synonym, antonyms, quotations, abbreviations, etc. Examples of dictionary which are most common are your Oxford Dictionary and your Cambridge Dictionary. Now let us learn what is thesaurus. Now, thesaurus is termed as an essential companion to a dictionary. We can say it is an advanced form of dictionary which suggests the users about the correct usage of words. It provides suitable coverage of a wide range of vocabulary arranged in an alphabetical order. Usually, it covers the synonym and antonyms of a word, which helps the user to easily find out a suitable alternative to the applied in a given situation. So whatever we try to see that what exact word is suitable for a particular given situation, thesaurus helps us in that kind of support. It also helps in beautiful representation of the language. Further, it supports the user with the help of useful phrases. Now, let us talk about encyclopedia. An encyclopedia is a book which gathers information either from all branches of knowledge or from a single subject area. It arranges all the material in alphabetical order for ready reference. An encyclopedia generally satisfies the desire to have knowledge. It is considered as a storehouse of knowledge and systematic summary of all the information which is significant to mankind. The term encyclopedia is derived from a Greek word which means a complete circle of learning. The Oxford Dictionary has defined an encyclopedia as literally word containing extensive information on all branches of knowledge, usually arranged in alphabetical order. An encyclopedia contains information on articles, giving essential information on subjects in various fields of knowledge. Now, what is the purpose of an encyclopedia? The purpose of an encyclopedia is to synthesize existing knowledge in the form that can be retrieved easily. An encyclopedia is regarded as the backbone of reference service. Its purpose is to give detailed articles, explanatory material, and brief informational data as the geographical locations, historical events, useful information like dates of birth and death of eminent personalities, etc. It is also considered as a proper source of research. Now, an example of an encyclopedia is your Encyclopedia of Britannica. This is very popular. Then let us learn about directories. Now, directory is another group of ready reference as a source of information. They are published in large numbers and they contain information about the experts, about the organization, their addresses, phone numbers, etc. So, what does directory actually mean? The dictionary meaning of a directory is a book containing alphabetical lists of inhabitants of any locality with their addresses and occupations, and also similar lists dealing with members of a particular profession, trade or association. In other words, we can say that it is the list of persons or organizations systematically arranged, usually in an alphabetical order, giving their addresses, phone numbers and occupation, etc. for individuals and similar data including department of an organization. It may provide information at two levels. Firstly, at the structural level and the operational activities of an organization and its members. What is the purpose of a directory? So, although it is very simple, we all know, but let us try and understand, let us try and find out what is the main purpose of a directory. Firstly, it basically talks about the addresses or telephone numbers of an individual or a firm. Then the full name of an individual, his firm or organization is mentioned in the directory. Then a description of a particular manufacturer, product or service is there in the directory. Then some kind of historical data about an institution, firm or a political group you can find out from a directory. Then data for any commercial use we can find out from the directory. So there are different types of directories, learners. The first kind is the local directories. What does this local directory contain? So the telephone directories, city directories and such other directories of local school, clubs, theatres, etc. These kind of information is given in the local directories. Then comes the government directories. These will include directories that is of post office, maybe of army, navy or air force headquarters and offices, etc. Then comes the next category, which is institutional directories. Now these kind of directories will include the list of schools, colleges, libraries, hospitals, museums and similar organizations. Then there are professional directories. These are mainly lists of information about the companies, industries, and personal services offered by business houses. Then there is the investment service directories. They are closely related to trade and business directories, and they give detailed reports on public and private corporations. An example is given as Indian Library Directory. Now, the next category of reference material is timetable, which will include your railway, air, and roadways. So, firstly, let us discuss the railway timetable. Learners, the head office of railways, they publish a booklet containing the timings, the fare, the distance, reservation rates, quotas, and general information for a passenger about the railway services which are available in the country. In India, we can say Trains at a Glance is a very handy guide brought out every year by the Ministry of Railways for the convenience of regular intercity and long distance travelers and foreign tourists. When any kind of changes of certain scheduled trains take place, the same, some kind of information is published in the Gazette. The concerned department sends a copy of notification to the manager of the government press, who will publish it under the heading notification in the next forthcoming publication of Gazette. Then let us talk about air timetable or schedule. Now, an air timetable gives complete and up-to-date information regarding airlines. It gives very vital information for the journey by air, and it is published by all the major airlines in the world. It is updated on regular basis. The arrival and departure are always given in the local time and is used 24 hours clock system. Now, while taking information from an air timetable, one must ensure that they are looking at the correct edition of the timetable. It is not that you are going for a very long, edition which is outdated. So just try and see the correct and the current edition of the timetable, because that will be giving you the exact information. An air timetable will provide you the following kind of information. Of course, firstly, it will give you about flight numbers. Then they will also discuss about the class of aircraft, whether it is Boeing 747, whether it is 737, or whether it is Airbus 320. Then it will also give you information related to the departure and arrival days and timings, and number of stops or halts to be made at a particular airport. Then what are the class of services, whether you're going for an executive class, club class, or economy class. Then what are the sitting plans of the aircraft. Then we will also be discussing in this about the minimum check-in timings, any kind of airport information and flight inquiry numbers. Then some important reservation telephone numbers, information related to baggage allowance, general information for passengers, and concession on fares like ward disabled persons. Lastly, when we talk about the source of information, the reference material, we will talk about roadways timetable. We have already discussed railways, we have already discussed airways. Now we are going to discuss this category, which is roadways timetable. Now, learners, as we have just learned, we have got the information about different trains from the railway timetable and flights from the airways timetable. The roadways timetable informs us about the various buses which are plying in the city or intercities at various time periods from a particular bus stand. It will also monitor various categories of buses moving from a particular destination, whether there are general buses, whether they are air-conditioned buses, whether they are some kind of deluxe buses or Volvo buses. So all kinds of these informations are available on the roadways timetable. Information about roadways timetable can be gathered by inquiring the particular bus terminal or from the main terminal of the city. Generally, timetable is displayed at the various locations where the buses travel. Apart from it, tourist guides also help us in getting information about the roadways timetable. Now, learners, the third category of reference material is tourist information guides. Now, let us have a look about what does this tourist information guide talks about. The tourism department and organizations functioning at local, national or international level issue tourist information guides. Further, every city which is important for touring purposes makes its own publications regarding tourist information. Such guides can be obtained from the relevant organizations by post, or one may visit the websites through search engines and gather requisite information. Now, Travel Information Manual. The short form of Travel Information Manual is TIM. Now, Travel Information Manual has been trusted name in the air travel industry since 1963, supplying with reliable and comprehensive up-to-date country destination information on entry as well as customs and currency regulations related to all your customers or clients. The Travel Information Manual booklet, which is issued on monthly basis, offers a complete holistic package for airline offices, travel agents, your tour operators and government agencies to help travelers save time and avoid delays. TIM is the world's leading source for information on air travel requirements. It lists information on subjects such as passport, what kind of exemptions are there, the validity, the rules for minors. Then it will also talk about visa, exemptions related to visa, no entry permits, transit without visas. Then it will also talk about some health related information, that is if any kind of vaccination is required in any country, useful information regarding passengers' health care. Then airport tax, that is the amount including place of payment and possible exemption from departure tax. Then it will also discuss about the customs and currencies, that is import and export regulations related to them. Then duty free allowances like baggage clearance. So learners, we can say that or you should be knowing that TIM is available by annual subscription, which includes monthly issues. Then also we need to understand then this tourist guide information about the World Tourist Guide. Now, tourist guide is useful for travel agents, tourists, librarians, students, etc. It is issued once a year and includes vital information regarding international traveling. The World Travel Guide is a colorful guide to every destination in the world. The guide tells you everything from entry requirements to contact numbers. It includes calendar of events, world political map, time zones, email websites, passport and visa information, climate, currency, mode of travel and much more. It also has details specific to religious travel in countries. So to sum up learners, in our today's session, we can say that in part 1 of the session, that was today's, we have covered the following topics. Firstly, we have talked about human beings as a source of information. Then we have talked about reference material, which is another source of information. And in reference material, we have discussed about dictionary, thesaurus, encyclopedia. We have discussed the timetable, whether it is related to railway, air and roadways. And we have also discussed tourist information guides. Now in our next session, that is part 2 of this session, we will discuss about the ready reckoners, office manuals, which are the different types of reference materials, and also we will be discussing media, internet, etc., which will be discussed as a source of information. So in case you have any query, you may please write to us at our email address, which is given, geetika.johry@ignou.ac.in. Thank you learners, stay safe, stay home. Namaskar.